Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. Now, in the last video when I was trying out this new resin, this EPOXY Fast Cure one coat resin, I said I was going to do a bloom inspired a little bit by the colours of the bird of paradise, which turned out really nice, and I really like this resin for a bloom. But it got me to thinking, what would happen if I could actually pipe in a bird of paradise design a bit like this? How would it bloom? Would it still keep those shapes or not? Using those two different colours that have got the papaya and the metallic purple. So you know the way that I work, there's only one way to find out, and that is to try it. So I'm going to try it. I've just drawn out a brief idea of what I want the bloom to sort of look like, which I'm hoping you'll agree looks a little bit like a bird of paradise. I've got my colours ready, which is this metallic purple paste that I've used in a previous video, and this papaya mica powder. So I don't know how this is all going to react in a bloom, and if it's even going to keep those shapes, but I thought I'd give it a go so that we know. So I'm going to be using this petal shaped mold that I've used on quite a few blooms, and I'm going to be using this EPOXY resin one coat fast cure again, because I think it's one of the thickest resins I've worked with, but hopefully with the fact that I'm not going to be using a white bloom with this should allow me to get the thickness of the mica that I need without it hopefully blobbing, is the plan. And I'm going to be also using couple of different green micas as well to try and just get that first bit of green in there as well, which is something I've never done before. So if that's what you're interested in, you're in the right place. And do me a favor guys, over 8% of the viewers that watch these videos don't subscribe. It makes such a difference if you subscribe. So do me a favor, before we go any further, just like and subscribe if you're liking the content. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up 4 ounces of this thick one coat fast cure resin, and I'm going to keep my eye on it now because I know that the temperature goes up quite quickly on this fast cure resin, which I didn't know before. So I'm just going to start off by pouring 2 ounces of each, the resin and the hardener, into this pot, and then I'm going to be stirring it quite slowly so that I don't introduce too many bubbles, because the more bubbles you introduce, the higher it actually goes in your cup when you put it in the bubble removal machine. So just literally 2 ounces of each should be enough, and if I get any left over, it should give me enough to fill up that dragon mold that I've got. So I'm really excited to uncure that because I've just been pouring all of my drips and spare resin into it, and I can't wait to see the results of that. So hopefully we'll get to demold both tomorrow and I can get the video out, but that is the dragon mold so far with all of those spare drips. And if you've not used this resin before, you'll be amazed at how thick it is. It absolutely shocked me, the thickness of this resin. And that's why you've got to really watch it. It's the first time I had a flash cure, and I think it's because it's the first time I've used a fast cure resin as well. But it is so thick and gloopy that I think the temperature goes up really quickly. So you've got to keep your eyes on it, especially if you're putting it through something like a bubble removal machine, because it's going to be in there for 5 minutes. And I think this is only going to take probably 10 minutes to get up to temperature from the point of mixing. As with normal medium viscosity resins I've used in the past, probably take as much as 20 to 30 minutes. This only takes about 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep my eye on it this time so I don't get a flash cure, and hopefully see what results we're going to get. But it's so thick you almost have to gloop it out the bottles to get that 4 ounces worth, but I think that's about right. And let me know in comments guys, do you think it's going to work, or do you think I'm just going to get a blobby mess again, which does sometimes happen on this channel. So again, I'm just going to use my wooden stick and I'm going to stir this really slow because I don't want to introduce any excessive bubbles, because I have found that when I put it in the bubble removal machine, because it is so thick, literally all of those bubbles almost make it overflow over the cup. Even though I've only got 4 ounces in the cup here, I want to introduce as few bubbles as possible. So I'm just stirring it really slowly, still scraping my sides, still scraping the bottom. And I'm going to do this for about 4 minutes and then put it in the bubble removal machine. And then we can pretty much mix up our colours, I reckon, pretty much straight away, based on the last experiment I did with this. But again, let me know in comments, guys, are you liking the content? Are you liking these experiments? Or is this something different you want us to look at? You know, we're happy to look at it. This channel is yours as a resin community as well as mine, you know, and it's all about having fun. It's all about experiments. It's all about finding out what happens if we do certain things that we've not tested before. And I just think this would be so unique if it works. And I've never seen a bird of paradise done in a 3D bloom style. So we will see. Might work and it might not, but that's part of the fun for me. And I'm hoping my piping skills have got a little bit better for this one, because I'm going to need them just to get the colours in where I want. And what you've got to remember when you're doing something like this is the front side is the one that's going to be facing the front. So this green part, I need to be doing piping first so that that stays at the front. But as I say, I don't know if this is going to work or not. We're going to find out together. But that is pretty much mixed now. I can't see any streaks in there. As you can see, there's quite a few bubbles in there still, but hopefully the bubble removal machine will get rid of those. Just really slowly now, just to make sure it's all mixed in together. And that's been about 2 minutes, but that's already clear for me. I can't see any streaks in that. So I'm going to put it straight into the bubble removal machine for around about 5 minutes to get rid of those, as many of those bubbles as I can. But as I say, it's a really, really thick resin. So we'll see what happens. So it's going in the bubble removal machine and I'll see you in a second. There we go, guys. So that's just had 5 minutes in the bubble removal machine. As I say, I don't want to flash cure, so I'm just going to torch off the bubbles on the surface, just using my torch. Gets rid of them. And then I'm going to check the temperature already, because I want this, with it being a fast cure, I think I want to start this at around about 33 degrees. And I know it goes up in temperature really quickly. So at the minute, we're at about 25, so I've still got a couple of minutes, so nothing to panic about just yet. And if you saw the last video where I had that flash cure, I think I did panic a little bit. So I think it was with it being my first flash cure, it just made me a little bit panicky, shall we say. But I'm going to get my colours ready to pour, so that when it is at temperature, I'm ready to go, pour it straight into the piping bags, and hopefully we won't have the same issues. So, first one I'm going to do is this papaya, which is dead straightforward, which is just a decent amount of this mica powder into one of these pots. Again, not too much, but just enough, because I want it to be quite vibrant, and I want it to stay opaque. So I think that should be enough there for that one. Now for the green one. Again, I'm not going to need much. I only need it for that, for the green. So I'm going to choose a little bit of this pistachio, but I think that would be too light. So I'm going to add a little bit of this darker aquamarine to it as well. And don't be afraid to mix your colours, guys. I think that's part of the fun that makes it every piece unique, is the fact that if you mix your micas, nobody else in the world will have made exactly the same colour. So that's my pistachio, which is quite a light green. And now into exactly the same cup, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of this aquamarine, which I think will darken it a little bit and give us a colour somewhere between the two. Again, not much, just a touch like that I think should be enough. I can always add a bit more if I wanted to, once I've mixed it, if it's not quite the colour I'm anticipating, but I don't want it too dark either. I do want it to be slightly light. So that's that one. And then where I always get messy, and actually it doesn't seem to be going up as quickly as it did yesterday in temperature, so maybe that was just a bizarre situation. But I'm going to get my Ocean White, which I, in fact, no, because I'm not using that on this one, sorry. Automatically wanted to go to a white bloom then, but I'm going to get this metallic purple paste. Give it a stir around like that, and pretty much, again, I want this to stay quite a deep colour, quite opaque. So whatever's left on my stick, I'm going to use. And I think that will be more than enough. So that's my 3 colours, and no white in this. So if it works, what I might do is give it a white backing. If I like the look of it, but we'll see as we go. And as I can say, this is that rough design that I've put in. Whether I can pipe in that design is probably another matter. So I'm going to want, I think, purple there after the green, purple there, purple there. Then I'm going to go over it with these orange petals, and then add a couple of purple ones at the back is the plan. But I'm hoping it's not going to be too heavy so that it sinks, and I'm hoping that it still blooms inwards. And that's why I've tried to keep this reasonably central, but we'll see. We'll see if it works. Let me know in comments, guys. Do you think this is going to work, or do you think I'm just going to have a complete blobby mess? So actually, in the cup at the minute, it's not going up as quickly as it did yesterday. Maybe I just was paying too much attention to the other project, and before I'd known it, 20-30 minutes had gone. I don't know, because I didn't check the timer on that. But that's quite a positive thing now, because I'm hoping that there's no risk of flash curing, like what we got in the last one, but we'll see. So I'm going to keep checking the temperature. And with it being so thick, with a medium viscosity resin, normally I aim for about 35 degrees. With a thick one like this, I might start at about 33, just because I know it's going to, especially with it being fast cure, I know it's going to cure quite quickly once it reaches that point, and I still want it all to have time to bloom, to give us that effect. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll come back and hopefully mix these colours, pipe in the design, and then see what happens. I've just thought, guys, as well, just to give it a bit of an extra glisten, I've got some of these cat's eye powders, so I'm going to add the tiniest bit into that mica, and literally, as I say, the tiniest bit, because for me they give me more of a sparkle than chameleon powders, literally that much, to see if that adds any kind of shimmer. So I've got a green, that's in there. I think I've got another couple of colours as well that should go with it. So I've got this blue, which I think is too blue, but I have got a purpley colour as well. So I'm going to add a little tiny bit of that purple to the purple as well, and literally the smallest bit like that, and I think it'll make a massive difference. You don't need a lot of this stuff, but I just think it gives a lot more of a shimmer. So again, that's in with the purple. And then I haven't got an orange in these powders, but I have got a gold, and I think orange and gold always go quite well together. So again, this is that gold, and these are the cat's eye powders. They're not chameleon powders, and the only place I found where you can get the powders and not the nail varnishes is into Resin. So have a look on there if you want to get yourself some as well. I've got a discount code, which is CCUK. So again, that's going to go in just with that orange, and literally that tiny amount I think is going to make a huge difference, hopefully, and we'll get a bit of a sparkle. So I just wanted to show you that as well. Temperature we're at now, it's starting to move quicker now, so we're at 26.6 and 25.3. So what I have noticed with this thicker resin as well is there doesn't seem to be as much of a difference from the surface to the bottom. So actually, whatever temperature I get on the surface is only about 1 degree difference throughout the whole thing. So as soon as that surface gets to 33 now, I'm gonna go, and we're gonna, as I say, hopefully not get a flash cure this time. But it is a fast cure resin, so I'm also hoping that in about 5 hours time, once this is done and hopefully bloomed, I can add another fast cure white backing to it, and we can demold this tomorrow, ready for the video. So again, let me know what you think in comments. Do you think this is going to work in a bloom design or not? I'm still hoping that it's going to pull them all into the center, and I've got it reasonably central, and create some sort of bloom effect, but hopefully keeping those original designs in. But I've never tried it with a bloom before. I've never seen anybody else try it with a bloom before, so we'll see if it works together. So we're at 31.1 on the surface now, 28 degrees on the bottom. So I'm going to wait for this to, as I say, get to 33 before I go, because I still want it to be thick enough to stop any kind of blobbing, hopefully, especially with these micas being quite heavy. So I've just got everything ready now. My piping bags are there ready. My colours are ready there to be mixed. So the plan is probably not a great deal. I only need about half a pot of each, I would say, for the colours. And then the rest of it can go straight into that mould. We can sort out the bubbles, hopefully, because we've left it with plenty of time. And again, thank you to Just For You Online UK for sending me this resin to test. As I say, came out with an amazing bloom yesterday, and I just thought it'd be the right resin to use for this kind of experiment. I'm hoping that it still pulls in and gives us a bit of a blooming process, but as I say, this is that one from yesterday that I was really happy with, and it's a super glossy finish as well. Love the shine on it. And just look at that metallic purple. But again, none of it blobbed, which was the important thing, even though it's quite heavy. So I'm hopeful we're going to get some kind of result here. And you'll have to excuse my voice today being a little bit croaky. I think it's because I've got 4 or 5 videos done in the past couple of days, so quite a few. There we go, 31.8. So about another 60 seconds I'm going to give that, and then we are ready to go. But also, guys, let me know in comments if there's any projects you want to see us do that you've not seen us do. And what I'm thinking here is I'm not going to go right into those points, because I can pull that out with my tool once I've done it. So probably finish just before those points on each one. And I want to try and do it in almost a layered effect. So we get some purple at the front, some purple at the back, some orange at the front, some orange that is sort of overlapped, if that makes sense, in the petals, so it looks more natural. But we'll see. Again, it's the first time I've done this. It might all pull in and make a traditional looking bloom for all I know. 32.5, so we're almost there. I want it to get to 33. And as I say, it is pretty much crystal clear underneath that surface layer as well. So I'm just feeling it now, and it doesn't feel too warm, so that's good. I'm going to torch off any excess surface bubbles as well, just before I mix my colours. Any that I can get hold of, just using my torch like that. And I think, there we go, I've got 30 degrees at the bottom. And just where I've just torched it, look at how quickly that goes up, 42.8. But it will come back down again. There we go, 39.6. Literally every second now, because I'm not torching it, but it really retains the heat as well, this thick resin. So I think we're good to go. What I'm going to do is, as I say, pour about half a cup into each of these for my colours, and hope we don't get a flash cure. And I'm not bothered if I get some extra. As I say, that can go into my dragon mould and hopefully finish that off. But just literally, just over half a pot of each, I think. And if anything, the one that I need more of is probably this orange, because most of the petals will be that orange colour. So that is my colours, hopefully ready to be mixed. And now I'm just going to pour the rest into my mould, going around the edges first, so hopefully it'll push it out, and then the rest can just go in that centre. And then I'm going to use my stick just to scrape out any extra that's in the cup, because if you don't do this, what you find is you're left with about half an ounce of resin in that cup, which is such a waste, and I don't like to waste resin. So again, just scraping it all out like that. And I've just noticed a hair drop in it, which is again not what I want. And then what I do with this mould is I just push it out into every tip, just to make sure that I've got an even thin layer across the whole thing. And it is a really thick resin, this, so it is, I'm still getting used to it, guys, so you'll have to bear with me. But I'm just gonna do that, and then hopefully it'll be nicely spread in each of those petals. And I'm looking for about ½ centimetre layer, that's all, because we are still going to be adding more resin to it when we add those colours. And again, let me know in comments, guys, if you think this is going to work. But that is pretty much all of that resin poured now. So what I'm going to do is just use my tool, my dotting tool, going around the edges, because that is where these bubbles like to stick, especially with a thick resin. I'm just going to go around all of them. And any that I can see, I'm just going to flick up to the top like that, so that hopefully I can get it with the torch. And again, try and flick them into the center, because that way you're not going near your edges with your torch. Right, happy with that. Where was that hair? There it is. Don't think it's one of mine, because mine are usually grey. Probably working with resin for too long. But there we go. So again, now just going over it with the torch. And at this point yesterday, I got a flash cure in the pots, which I'm hoping not to have this time. Again, just torching those surface bubbles off. And I can just see one more bubble in there, near the center, which is the last place that I want bubbles. Because if this bloom works, that's where the eye's attention is gonna be. There we go. And I think I'm happy with that. Looks reasonably even, spread around there. And I don't want to leave it too long. So this is my green. Good, it hasn't flash cured. So again, when you're mixing your micas, just do it really thoroughly. Otherwise you'll get those patches of powder, which is not what you want. So that is my green. Really happy with that as a colour. And it'd be interesting to see if I can see any of those cat's eye particles once it's settled as well. So that's going to go straight into my piping bag. And that is my green. I'm trying to do it in order of what I'm going to be piping as well, just so it helps me stay on track. I think that'll look really cool in the base of the dragon as well, actually, this green. And again, nobody in the world has probably got exactly the same shade of green, because I've mixed those two different micas together and I've mixed in the cat's eye powder. So I think it'll be quite a unique colour. Just going to tip that up upside down. So that's my green. This is my purple. And again, just mixing it thoroughly, making sure that metallic purple shimmer is all the way through. And that can go in my next piping bag. Lovely colour that. I don't know why, but this and that papaya, it just reminded me so much of that bird of paradise flower. So I thought it'd be a really interesting experiment. Might not work, but at least after trying it, I'll know. And that's what resin's all about for me. It's about just trying out new things, seeing what happens, and seeing if you get any kind of reaction, really. So that is that one. And then for this final papaya, and it has got a little bit of those gold cat's eye powder in there as well. So it'd be interesting to see if that adds an extra dimension to it, an extra shimmer. But this is one of my favourite colours at the minute. And it was this and that purple that made me think of that bird of paradise, because the colours, as I say, they're just almost identical. So I just thought it's worth a try and see what kind of effect we get. So that is that one. And that is now going in my piping bag. And good news so far, there's been no flash cure. Just proves it was human error yesterday. But I think this will create an amazing bloom if it works. So again, let me know in comments, guys. Do you think it's going to work? Or do you think it is just going to be a mess? And my piping skills, if you've seen some of the previous videos, leave a lot to be desired as well. So, just going to get these ready in the bags now. So all I do, it's in there, give it a good squeeze and press it down. And then give the bag a twist. That is now pretty much ready to pipe. That's my green. This is my purple. Again, squeezing it all down. Give it a twist. And at the minute, these aren't feeling too warm, so I think I've timed it perfectly. And then there's that papaya orange. And probably shouldn't do this over the actual bloom, just in case. But there we go, so that's that one as well. So I've got my 3 colours ready now. And all I'm going to do now is just check the surface, make sure I'm happy with it, which I am. And then pipe, but it's still got that thick consistency, which is what you need for a heavy bloom. Again, just gonna turn up my torch a little tad, and then just go over the surface. Again, getting rid of any bubbles that are there, but it also, I think, just encourages the bloom. I think there's just a bit there that didn't fully go to the edge, so has now. And again, I'm no artist, so don't judge me based on the drawing underneath. But it looks pretty close to the bird of paradise, I think. Whether it will when I've piped is another matter. There we go. So that is that. And again, I know that this is slightly elevated just because of this paper. It's quite a thick one, but I'm going to go for it. So, green first. And again, I am only going to need the tiniest bit of this because it's just for that bit there. So I'm just going to take that little tip off the end, he says, if his scissors work. Maybe I need to sharpen these actually. But I think that has now worked and we have got it. So, and that hair's come back. I'm just going to let it literally fall from the bag onto the resin. And almost touching that side, but not quite. And then again, just going around there. I want it reasonably thick there because I still want it to close up if I can. So again, just doing that. Not too much, but enough, I think. And I think that's enough there. And I'm just praying, as I say, that that will close in now. So that's my green, done. Next, I'm going to go in with the purple. First layer of purple anyway. And what I'm going to do actually first is just at this tip, bring it out a little bit like that. And it should also prevent any blob in there, hopefully. Just literally like that. And if this blooms, hopefully that is going to pull in together. So now getting my purple. And with this, I want a slightly thinner petal. So again, I'm going to try and snip it a little bit shorter, he says. And hopefully that should now just drip out, which it does. And I've got to think here, so this is going to be the front. So I want one here, I think. And again, just letting it fall out. Beautiful. I want another one here. Like so. And then I'm going to have one here. And the good thing with the purple is it shouldn't have to pull in too much. Now I am going to need that purple again in a minute. So I'm just going to fold the tip up. Because as I say, I want a kind of layered effect. Now I've still got my green and I'm just conscious that I don't know if this is all going to bloom inwards. So I am going to put another layer in the middle. And hopefully that will just look like that line that you naturally get on a leaf anyway. Because there has to be enough pigment to spread for it spread. There we go. So that's my green now. And hopefully that should all work. Again, just going to get my tool here. And just work it like that. So it hopefully joins up as a pointy leaf. And prevents that blobbing. Again, going to do that in each one of these purple ones, like so, just to give us that point. And that's there. And now for the orange, which is going to be the bulk of it, to be honest. And do you know what? Even if we get an abstract bird of paradise, I'm hoping these colours will save me. But there we go, just squeezing it down so it starts to flow naturally. And then I've got one I want to come out here. Beautiful. I've got another one that I want to come here. Again, that's nice. Another one here. Another one here. As I say, there is that risk of blobbing. I'm just hoping with the thickness of this resin, it doesn't. Now with some of the thicker ones as well, I'm just going to put a little bit of a line of this orange down the middle because I want to make sure that it blooms. And you need to have enough resin in there for it to be able to create those colours and hopefully bloom inwards. And again, I don't know guys, it might work and it might not, but I think that's pretty much it. In fact, I did want another layer of the purple, just so it looks like I've got some coming behind. Now this is where, again, there's a risk of it blobbing. I'm hoping it doesn't. And then one just here. And I think that is about it. As I say, I don't know if this is going to bloom at all. All I'm going to do is pull out those tips again to give us that point. And again, if there's a middle one, I might as well incorporate that in. And that's those tips. And I think that's pretty much all I can do now. I've missed this purple tip here. So just pull that one out. And then I'm going to pull this one out here as well. And then I'm just going to go over it again with the torch. Hopefully this should encourage a little bit of movement and encourage those colours to pull in a little bit and to blob, not to blob hopefully. But I don't know, let me know if you think it's going to work. I'm just thinking actually, do I just fill it in case that blobbing doesn't happen? And then even if it does, it's just going to create a bit more of a blob. I've got the resin. I think at this point it'd be silly not to. And there's those lines. And I think that'll look cool anyway. That's kind of what you'd get naturally in a leaf. And then with these purples as well, I'm just going to make sure that they're filled in. And hopefully it's still going to pull a blobbing, a bloom effect. Just a little bit in that centre. We get a little bit of translucency. I don't mind. But I just don't want the whole thing to stay translucent. So I'm almost layering it now. And again, let me know in comments, guys, if you think this is going to work or not. Plenty of pigment now. And I didn't want that to happen. Just be careful when you're piping. Okay, what I'm going to try and do is try to rescue that just by pulling it up and over so it actually looks like it's almost part of that leaf. And again, just doing that again around it, these edges. I don't mind a little bit of colour blending. And then the same with the orange, because that's the biggest risk I think with this one, is if those oranges don't pull in, I'm not going to get the effect I want. So again, just trying to be as thin as I can and keeping it within that guide that I've put down for these petals. I'm just hoping I don't get blobs, because again, I'm loving that colour combo on these. And I'm just wondering whether I go around them with my tool again, just to further define the petals. I think I'm gonna just around those orange ones, and then if I get a bit of blending, I actually think it'll look quite natural. So there we go, and I'm just really hopeful that it doesn't blob now, and that we get some movement at least. From the back it looks pretty cool. And this is that dragon mould. So will I have enough here to completely fill it? I think I will. So this lovely green. Just going to go around the edge. Try and get a bit in the tail as well. And that's almost a layer. That's great. So I think we'll be able to demold this at the same time, hopefully. So that is all of that green. I'm going to go in with the orange next. And I don't know, is this moving? Not sure. Just wanted to do something, anything. Right, orange. Next in this dragon mould. Helps if you can keep it in the mould. But there we go, I've got no more resin left now, so this is either going to work or it isn't. So that is that. Do you know what? I am going to use my tool and just very finely, if I can, move these in and back out. And again, I'm hoping that this will encourage that bloom. I can see it's trying to happen in certain areas, but not all. But we'll see. Biggest thing I'm being conscious of though is I don't want it to blob. I'm just trying to be really gentle, touching that surface. Same with the purple. I can see where it's trying to blob, well, to bloom. I don't know. But I don't want to play with it too much either. No, I think that's enough now with that. So again, just going to go around it again. And either way, I think it'll look like an abstract bird of paradise if we don't get any kind of effect whatsoever. So, time to top up this dragon mould with the rest of the purple. Hopefully this is enough to fill it. I think it will be. And then I get to demold this as well tomorrow. And just go around the edges. And actually it's easier to do that when it's in a piping bag. And if this isn't completely filled now, it's that close that I'll get some clear and top it up. But I think it's there. I think this should be the last layer. A bit more in the head. I think it's this mould partially. I don't think it's a fully even mould. But again, just look at that. Just be careful when you're piping because it does try and move up the back of the bag as well. There we go. This should just fill it up, hopefully. Just try and make sure it's completely level. And then I'm going to torch this as well. And I think we should just have enough. Tiny little bit more in that head. There we go. If I can squeeze any more out of these as well, I will. And that is mainly air in that bag now. And then lastly, the last drop of that green. And that's it. And I've ripped my glove. So again, just going to give that a torch as well. Get rid of any of those surface bubbles. Try and avoid the mould. And again, just giving this one last torch. And now whatever will be, will be. We either get something that resembles a bird of paradise, or we get a blobby mess. Let me know in comments, and I'll see you in about 4 hours. And I'm going to put a back on this because it looks like it's trying to do something. So I'm just going to put, I think, quite a light colour on the back. I think maybe even white on this. And just see. But I'm just looking through the mould now, and I can't see it blobbing, so that's a good sign. Hopefully it hasn't blobbed. Hopefully I've not gone too heavy by using this resin, but I'll see you in about probably about 5 hours, and then I'll put a back coat on it as well. Hey guys, and we're back, and it's only been 5 hours, but this has already cured, I think, enough to put that back layer on. And I want to try and get this demolded tonight if I can. As you can see, it's not even sticky anymore. And I don't know what it's going to look like on the front. I quite like the design on the back. I think it does look like that bird of paradise, but I'm hoping it does on the front, and I'm hoping I haven't got blobbing. Unfortunately, I'm not going to know that until I've got this next coat on. So I decided to think, I was thinking of what back I should use. I'm going to be using this fast cure again, and I think I should be able to get away with a thin layer. I'm going to go for around about 50 mil. I don't think I'll need much more than that. So again, I'm just pouring the resin in at the minute. And there we go. And if I have got any extra, then I'm going to have to use a different spare mould now, because my dragon as well, he feels full, so hopefully I can decure him at the same time as well. But again, I'm not trying to mix too much, just trying to get just enough to create that really thin backing. And I was thinking about colours. I didn't want black, I knew that. I didn't want gold because I've done a lot of that in recent videos. But I didn't want just plain white either, because I don't think, if this piece turns out the way I hope it does, I don't think plain white will give it enough of a back, shall we say. And it might detract from the piece overall. So I've been racking my brains, and I have got one colour that I've never used yet, and I've had it for months, to be honest, and I've never tried it, which is this one, which is sort of a metallic paste, white, but it's not quite white, it's almost cream with a bit of glitteriness to it. So I want to see what that will look like. Hopefully that'll make everything pop, is the plan. So I've just put 50 ml in there. Again, I'm going to slowly mix that together. And I love these little silicone pots for mixing. They just make cleaning so easy. Literally, you just peel off the resin the next day. So I'm going to be getting a few more of these. Rather than using those disposable little plastic ones, I would rather have another, I don't know, 10 of these that I can use on a regular basis, because they are so easy to clean. And I just find them a lot better than those disposable ones. So again, if you want some of these, get yourself some these little small silicone ones, because it just makes cleanup so much easier. And most of us that work in resin hate the cleanup. So I'm just mixing this thoroughly through. Again, not too bothered about bubbles because I'm going to be putting this pigment in, and they will hopefully come to the top. But this is about 50 ml, and I'm hoping that this will give me enough to just give me a thin backing. So I can't use the same stirring stick because I've just mixed the resin with it. But what I am going to do is what I always do, is just mix this around thoroughly. And whatever's, it's almost like a pearl type colour, this. And whatever's left on my stick once I've stirred it is what will go in there. And I still want it to be quite opaque. That's probably going to be far too much. So I'm just going to use what's left on that stick there in that 50 ml of resin. And it'll be interesting to see what this one looks like. If it looks nice, I'm probably going to back a few more pieces. But I thought with the darkness of that purple and the orange as well, I wanted something what is going to make those colours pop rather than draw your attention to the background. And look at that. That is lovely. It's almost like a creamy pearl colour. And it's still got a slightly metallic effect. So I'm hoping that this will be a good one. And I'm hoping it's only going to take, what, 5 hours? And I'm going to be able to demold, touch wood. But I'll be able to demold not only this Bird of Paradise bloom, but also this dragon. And I'm so looking forward to this. This has been 4 weeks in the making, this drip dragon. And then obviously I can start again. Whether I use that mould for a drip mould again, or whether I pick a different one, I don't know. Here we go. So, again, love that colour. Look at that. So I'm just going to do the same. Go in each one of those petals and then put the rest in the centre and then spread it out a little bit. So, sorry Bird of Paradise, we're not going to see what you look like until this backing is cured. I'm hoping it's still opaque enough so that you get a good backing on it and the blooms don't come through. And so I don't want it to be too thick, don't want it to be too thin. I think 50 ml was about right actually. Just going to get the rest of it out. Again, scrape it out your pot. There's no point leaving it in there just to demold tomorrow. Maybe could have done with a touch more, so maybe next time I'll do about 60 ml just because I'd like to slightly dome these. But either way, I think it'll work and I think we'll get a cool effect. So that is pretty much all of that resin. 50 ml just to give it that back layer, which will hopefully make those colours pop. So what I'm going to do is just mix it all together, go around these edges as well, just making sure that all the edges are touching. And then I'm going to go around it with the torch to get any bubbles. But let me know what you think in comments, guys. Is this going to work or not? And again, just mixing it around to try and even it out. It should self-level anyway, most resin does. And then what I'm going to do, just to add an extra effect, is just use my silicone tool. And I'm just going to put a swirl in each one of these petals. Again, you probably won't see it through to the front, but it should give us a bit of a design on the back when this all cures. And then again, just in the center here. And again, guys, let me know what you think in comments. Is this going to turn out to look like a Bird of Paradise, or is it going to be a mess? We will find out. But again, even with the 3D blooms, one of the things I love doing with resin is trying to find different techniques. So I've tried an orchid, and now I've tried this Bird of Paradise, which if it turns out, I think will be one of my favourites. But that's it now. Wait 5 hours and then we'll come back for demold. So do me a favor as well, if you've not already, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at demold where we get to do this dragon as well. So yeah, cool. See you in a few hours. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and it has been about 6 hours and this feels cured enough to demold for me, and I couldn't wait, to be honest with you, just to see well, two things really. See if we've got anything that even resembles a bird of paradise in this 3D bloom. And finally, after about 4 weeks, the dragon mold from Spear Drips is full. So again, looking forward to that. And again, just with regards to that resin, it is amazing to be able to demold something after like 6 hours rather than waiting 24 hours. And it won't be fully cured yet, but it'll be cured enough to demold. So, oh, which one do I do first? I'm going to do the bloom. Just because I just want to see if I've got anything that even resembles a bird of paradise. So, what do you think, guys? Is this going to have work? I love the way that metallic white's gone on the back as well. It's not fully opaque though. It's still slightly transparent. I can still just about see those colours through it. But yeah, I really like that effect. Almost metallic white, that. So I'm just praying that this has turned out. It's the first time I've tried this design, and it was just inspired by those two colours, that papaya, that metallic purple. I don't know why I got a bird of paradise in my brain, and then I thought, do you know what? Let's try it in a bloom. And I don't know if it'll work, mainly because of the way that they shift. So I don't think the original design that I put in is going to still be there. So there we go. It is demolded, and the moment of truth. Wow, that is different. Do you know what? For me, that is close enough. That I've got the green there for the initial flower bud, and I've got the purple bits, and I've got the overlapping orange petals. Do you know what? For me, for a first attempt at a bird of paradise, I don't think that's bad. What I would do next time, in fact, no, I really like that. Even the texture in the leaf, I don't mind. But no, let me know what you think in comments, guys. My first bird of paradise 3D bloom. And I love the colours. And again, with this thick resin, although you can tell that papaya is quite a heavy pigment, it's not blobbed. And it's kept it in, so none of it's actually touching the surface there in a blobbing manner. And I love that effect with the micas, you know? I just find it a lot more 3D than using alcohol inks. And that's why you'll see in most of my blooms, I use at least one, if not two different micas, but absolutely loving that bird of paradise design. Let me know what you think in comments. And I don't think I've seen another one. Right, and now for this dragon that I've been waiting 4 weeks to demold. Let's have a look. And it's demolding pretty easily, which is good. And this is just all of those spare ink drips that I've had over the last, I don't know, 15 projects or so. So we will see what this guy, wow, I'm liking the way it looks already. Come on. Whoa. That is, do you know what? I absolutely love it. And I love how I got the white bloom in those points on his head. Yeah, that has turned out really cool. Loving that. Bit of silver on the wing there. Bit of green still coming through as well. Purple, orange, golds. It's all in there. So yeah, I love this guy. And this was just all of my spare ink drops that otherwise would have probably gone into a bin or just a spare pendant. And this was just, as I say, those spare ink drops. Love that guy. So yeah, I think I'm going to be doing this again with maybe a different mold this time. But I love the way he's come out. Just all of those. And you know what? Just looking at it, to me, it reminds me of all of the different projects I've done, those different colours. A little bit of overpour. And what I always find with the overpour, it's easier to just get it off with your fingers when you first demold. Don't let it overly set, because then it makes it a bit more difficult to get rid of. But what do you think? I really like him, or her, the dragon. The spare drip dragon. Just goes to show you, some of your best pieces can just come from spare resin. So I would say both of those have been a real success. So happy with those. If you've liked it, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next project. And I need to find a new mould to use as a drip mould, or do I just do another dragon? Because that has come out really well. Love it.